This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
It's the lockdown segment. There he is, sporting the U and everything. I like it. Slick. All right, my brother. So last night, that was a different Lightning team. The speed of the Avalanche was not nearly as prominent as it was in the first two games. Talk to me, man. Tell me what happened. What happened on the ice last night?
Well, good afternoon, Orlando. Thanks for having me as always. I think it was just, maybe they rubbed Tampa Bay's nose in game 2 a little bit too much, right? 7-0 beating Tampa Bay in game 2. The Lightning obviously came out desperate. I mean, they're the 2-time defending champs. They're playing at home. All the talk was, hey, if these guys get swept, does that affect their, their status as a dynasty? Yada yada yada. They just came out and played desperate. I mean, Colorado played a pretty good game early on. I think Colorado was up 1-0 in the game. They cut it to 3-2 at one point, and and it looked like that Colorado had the momentum, but Tampa Bay found a way and ended up blowing that one out. Colorado pulls its goalie. Listen, we talked about it last week. That's the one weakness of Colorado, is what they've got going on in net. Now, I would not be surprised. Sorry, I'm in the car. I'm driving north.
Oh, you're all good.
I wouldn't be surprised to see Colorado win game 4 and go back to Colorado and win this thing in 5, because Colorado is the better team. But I think now that there is a little bit of uneasiness now in net with Colorado. They knew it all. They knew it throughout the playoffs and got away with it, that they weren't as great in net as they should be. And we'll just see what happens. If Tampa Bay can tie this thing up 2-2, go back to Denver, flip a coin in game 5.
But what was it about that game that their speed was kind of nullified in that second half of that game, and Tampa took off? What were they doing? How did they adjust? Because clearly there wasn't as much open ice for Colorado as there was
there certainly
over in the first two games. That's why I'm saying.
Yeah, well, Tampa looked tired in the first two games of this series. I mean, even in game 1, the game that went to overtime, Colorado was the dominant team. Some people are blaming that thin air in Colorado. Definitely Tampa's not used to playing in that mile-high atmosphere. You look at NBA teams. How many times did the Miami Heat lose in Denver? Consecutive games. Teams that go there all of a sudden can't function. It doesn't really help the Rockies all that much, but everybody else really seems to struggle, at least in those indoor arenas. So, listen, Tampa Bay went back to selling out defensively. They blocked some shots. They did a lot of good things. Vasilevsky made a couple big key saves, especially at key times. And, listen, I was just very impressed with what Tampa Bay does. Now, in the third period, I thought they let Colorado kind of dictate some things, which was a little bit surprising. They had a nice lead, but Tampa Bay didn't try to shut things down in the third, and Vasilevsky was able to get the win.
When you look at the home ice, this is the worst sport for home ice, home field, home court, whatever the hell you want to call it, in all these sports.
Right. It doesn't matter, right?
It does not matter pretty much overall in the NHL. It's the weirdest thing, because the average fan feels always like they have an advantage at home, but in this series, so far, it's kind of held, it's held pretty much. And one of the things that I did notice last night, it looks like that crowd in Tampa, man, it looks like it gives them an advantage. Like they are into it. The vibe, you've been there, I've been there.
Oh, yeah.
The vibe outside leading into inside, they have done a magnificent job of creating that. Obviously, winning helps and being a great organization helps, but they have done their part. And that's the other thing that I kind of noticed last night, that, Tampa played a better game, but it looked to me like they also benefited from that atmosphere.
they fed off that emotion, right? I mean, they definitely fed off that crowd. Yeah, you've got to hand it to Tampa Bay, the Tampa Bay Lightning organization, for what they've created. And the Panthers have tried to copy that a little bit by buying, by trying to be the community's team and all that. The problem is, with the Panthers, they can't replicate that, because guess what Tampa Bay doesn't have? A basketball team. They do not have an NBA team to compete with, and the Panthers do. So
and we don't have that thing that we can build bars around it to create that atmosphere.
You don't have
Yeah, the Heat actually has that, Bayside and some of the other bars around. So you kind of have a little bit of that in downtown because you're there, and that's the reason why I also think that tarmac or whatever the hell they call it outside, they're going to have to do something with that to try to create some kind of a vibe.
It's hard to do that though when you're charging people $50 to park in the parking lot. What do you? People are just going to show up. I mean,
that's a great point.
Tampa, there's people living in condos all around that, which a lot of the Lightning own. I'm telling you, I've been covering this team for a long, long time. That arena used to be a detriment to Tampa Bay because it really was it was on the outskirts of downtown. Nobody lived downtown. The sidewalks were rolled up at 6 o'clock at night in Tampa Bay. The guy that owns the Lightning, Vinnick, bought all that stuff. He built hotels, he built bars, he built apartment buildings. They've got a Publix across the street from the arena
that's what this guy wants to do in Jacksonville. Same thing.
Everybody wants to do it. They've done it in Cincinnati. They've done it in Atlanta. They created a city around that Braves stadium. Yeah, that's where all the money's coming from now. Teams are going to develop around. The Cleveland Browns are thinking about doing that. They're in the news today, but they're talking about that around the lake.
How about this, which has been a utter failure? I have it ready for my KSDT CPA report. We always, a sports and business like story. Do you see what the Coyotes want to do now?
What are they thinking about?
They're same thing.
In Tempe. Yeah.
An entire complex around the facility where it has bars and real estate and all kinds of stuff. And obviously, the owners of the Coyotes will own all of that. So the idea is to make the money off real estate and all that stuff and create the atmosphere for their team, which, as you know, it has been maybe the biggest failure in hockey has been the Coyotes right now, right?
They've already got that, though. They've already got a little city around in Glendale. The problem is it's in Glendale. That's like putting the Florida Panthers arena in Port St. Lucie and hoping that people will come to Port St. Lucie to watch. You know what I mean? Glendale already has that entertainment center. They built it up. You can look it up.
But this is in Phoenix where they want to do it.
No, I know. No, right. It's got to be in the right place. In Tempe, it's going to work. That's why Bettman's like, you guys they're going to go play for 3 years in a college hockey arena with 5,000 seats. The reason the NHL's letting them do that is looking ahead. They get this deal in Tempe, they're legit. That is going to work because Tempe is the heartbeat of that Phoenix, Scottsdale area. It's right near Arizona State. That's going to be hopping. It's really going to work. If they can't get this approved, I think the NHL is going to pull the plug on the Coyotes. But they're going to let them play 3 years in this, rinky-dink rink, only because of that.
Right. Yeah, but I from what I read, it looks like it's something that's going to happen because
I think so too.
They need the development, they need the housing, same issues that everybody has when it comes to housing and all kinds of stuff like that. Just like
it's going to be nice if they can get it done.
And Jacksonville should bend over backwards a little bit more for Shad because he's helping you create a better city by doing all of those kind of things. And
I'll be there tonight, by the way, Big O. I'm going to see the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp tonight in Jacksonville.
Nice.
So I will give you a scouting report on the area.
I like it. I'm glad.
I've been there a bunch of times. I haven't been to a baseball game there in like 15 years. But
who are they playing, by the way? Who are they playing?
I believe they're playing your Durham Bulls. So Nuke Lelouch on the mound tonight for the Bulls. He's that big arm the Atlanta Braves have. So
yeah.
$1 million arm, 5-cent head.
All right. Will Susan Sarandon be in the house?
I don't know. We'll find out. I'll be looking around.
Yeah, well, making sure that she's there. All right, on the Panthers side, what do we know about the coaching, bro? Because after you got rid of a couple assistant coaches, it's kind of gone. They already hired what was it? Tortorella, right?
Tortorella's in Philadelphia. Yeah.
Right. So, Barry Trotz is the guy that I kind of looked at and said, give me a little Trotz action here. So,
no
what's the deal? What do we know? Are they keeping the coach? Are they letting him go? Because it kind of now looks like they're going to keep him if they're going to get rid of those two coaches and let him hire his own. I don't know.
Well, I don't know. Well, we'll see. Again, the guys that were let go everybody was like, well, let Brunette hire his guys. Those were Brunette's guys. Those guys were like best. Those guys were like best buds. Now, he didn't hire him obviously because he was just one of the guys that got hired.
Right.
But they were pretty. Those guys were pretty close, especially Derek McKenzie and Andrew Brunette. They come from the same part, Sudbury, Ontario. So I don't know what's going on. I do think that they are looking at Barry Trotz. Barry Trotz, the longer he hasn't been hired, he hasn't agreed to coach the Winnipeg Jets, I believe is a good sign for the Florida Panthers because, you still got a chance. If you can get Barry Trotz in here, I don't think anybody would argue it. He's the best free agent coach that's been on the market since who? Joel Quenneville. Now, we talked about Joel Quenneville last week, and, maybe there's a chance. I think Gary Bettman put his foot down on that.
Yeah, dude, it looked like that's not going to happen right now.
Yeah, he talked to ESPN about it and told ESPN before, I guess, game one of the finals that, listen, we haven't talked, which is what he told us when he was here in Sunrise about 6 weeks ago. But what he said was, I don't think this is the right time. We know Joel wants to coach, but he hasn't talked to us about it. He doesn't have a team in mind. So it sounds like, he doesn't, is not with the Panthers. I know
did you pick up from that conversation when he was, I'm kind of paraphrasing, but he said something about meeting with them and he having to do something, or it almost feels like there was a requirement in order for you to get, reinstated again and be able to get a job again. And it almost feels like Q had not done what he needed him to do in order to then get to that point of deciding to get reinstated. I almost feel like Q is not doing something required.
I don't know about that. You're dealing with Gary Bettman, who's a lawyer who speaks in lawyer terms. It could be that enough time hasn't passed, right? Could be that. Any way that Joel Quenneville comes back, and we talked about it over the last couple months, the day Joel Quenneville gets reintroduced as a new head coach somewhere, even here in Florida, he's going to talk about self-reflection. He went to see some therapists. He did some kind of, he went through some kind of counseling about these kind of issues to change my mind, to rectify things. That's gonna happen. I mean, I don't know what you would call it, but there's gonna be some kind of, I've been seeing someone, I talked to someone, all that kind of stuff. I went through some kind of program. That's gonna happen. Whether or not he's done it or not, we don't know. But it sounds like to me, Gary Bettman's just saying there hasn't been enough time here. I mean, he just resigned and it was November. The Kyle Beach situation just got settled by the NHL. They paid him a lot of money. We don't know how much, but Kyle Beach got paid a lot of money from the NHL and I'm sure the Chicago Blackhawks. I would just think that, Gary Bettman's like, it's just not enough time right now.
Yeah.
And then there must be nobody calling saying, hey, Gary, we really want to hire Joel Quenneville. Then I think you might see some wheels in motion. If there's nobody calling, then there's no reason to do anything.
All right. And you're not hearing anything on the player side, trade side?
Nothing yet. Nothing yet, because listen, we're in the Stanley Cup Finals. I believe that Bill Zito is in Tampa. So we'll be starting to find out some stuff here that, nobody's going to announce a coach, anything like that, unless it's your current coach, an extension or something. The NHL's, like baseball, they don't want any major announcements made during these kind of events. So
Philadelphia broke the rules, right?
Well, but that had been in the works. I mean, it was like Joel Quenneville's coming. I mean, John Tortorella's coming, and then 4 days later, they're like, all right, well, we signed him. So
throw the Flyers into the vets jail.
Yeah, exactly.
Rules.
So for breaking the rule, it's an unwritten rule, of course, but so we'll probably see some more. But again, Barry Trotz being out there is good news for Florida because I think he's the guy they really want. Yesterday we wrote about the Finnish coach who's jumped into the conversation with the Panthers. So we'll just have to see what happens moving forward.
By the way, I'm not going to use this as an insult or anything like that they're trying to, get extra pub or anything, but it was a smart move on the Charles Barkley thing. So Barkley calls the commissioner to get tickets, and then they put him on the intermission show, and he's out there talking, and so it's Barkley's good for business, no matter who it is,
no matter what it is, yeah.
And I give Bettman a ton of credit for understanding that and not being hockey people aren't really snobs anyways. They're like really good down there, salt of the earth people normally. Like that's what you normally run into with hockey people. They're just good people. You know what I mean? So but Bettman is not really considered a hockey guy. So you just wonder how he's an
NBA guy, right?
Yeah.
Well, listen, let's not forget Barkley is now part of the NHL family. TNT is a broadcast partner. That said, anytime Barkley's at a hockey game, he jumps in the booth. And this has been going back 4 or 5 years. Charles Barkley is a legitimate NHL fan. I don't know. I wouldn't say like a diehard. He probably doesn't know anybody, most of the players' names, but he watches the games. They've talked about it on the NBA on TNT where they're like, the Pacers are playing Milwaukee and Barkley's watching the LA Kings play. So and he's friends with John Cooper. He and John Cooper were real tight. Charles Barkley's good for anything, like you said. I remember, covering the Hurricanes in the Fiesta Bowl back in 2002, the Ohio State game, and Barkley was hanging around with the Hurricanes and all that kind of stuff, and that was fun. So he's just a big sports fan. He's like a big kid, and he's just having a good time.
By the way, for those of us that are wondering, the future of the NHL and all of that, I was reading the last couple of days. Not only did they make $5.2 billion in sponsorship revenue, but I think like in corporate revenue, they went over $1 billion this past year, which was something new for them. I think it was called corporate revenue or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
Their revenue streams. The league's revenue streams are going up, which is actually really, really cool. Considering we were just talking about this Coyotes situation, and if they're able to get over the hump with that other thing, obviously that will get them on track to becoming a productive franchise, money-wise. But through it all, the league is making progress now and is, TV contracts have gotten better. The coverage has gotten better. We have more options to find, games now. It's really nice to see that the NHL is actually growing again. Yeah,
I mean, they're still fourth, of the big four. But that is what it is. I mean, that is what it is. I mean, I'm sure you remember.
We're not expecting them to beat them.
Yeah, right. So it is. Yeah, 4 out of the. Yeah, you're still in the big four. And there was some talk that they dropped out a few years ago. So I mean, everybody was like, "Oh, NASCAR is overtaking Major League Soccer." That's not happening. No. So they're doing fine. They've got a very good TV contract now. TNT and ESPN treat them very well. I think it was a huge move getting away from that NBC deal. I mean, NBC not only very boring coverage, but not very good placement on their channels. No. At least with ESPN, the games. Not a lot of the games are streaming, and a lot of people are complaining about that. But that's the way of the future. The NHL is going to make a lot of money on streaming. You're hearing now, Bally Sports Florida is now offering in Florida the standalone package because
it started already. Did it start already?
I just read yesterday. It's kicking off this month. That you're going to be able to buy it as a standalone package for like $19 a month or something to get the Marlins, the Heat, and the Panthers locally.
By the way, George, the NHL is fine and they're right. The world moves to streaming. Okay, that's where
it's moving to streaming.
Dying, bro. Antennas are dying.
Right. People are like, oh, I had to watch it on my phone. I'm like, well, you got a smart TV, don't you?
Right.
Most people do. And if you don't, I get it. And some people, I get it.
Right.
But you can get a Fire Stick for $20.
Right.
You don't have to have a smart TV,
Right.
But anyway, I get it. Some people are like, listen, I pay a cable bill. I want to watch the game on cable. I get that. I understand that. How many Panther games were taken off of Bally's this year? 10? Because they were on ESPN Plus or something. So people had to stream those games. I understand. But that's just the way of the world. The NHL's making money. If you want the salary cap to rise, you got to sign those kind of deals. Look at baseball.
My brother
they've got games on Prime. They've got games on Apple. They've got games here, there, everywhere. That's what's going to happen.
Amazon. NFL moved to Amazon on
Thursday. That's going
to
blow people's minds because people don't even understand. Like you go to a sports bar on a Thursday night. How many sports bars are prepared for Thursday night football next season? With
smart TVs, they're all getting smart
some
TVs.
Do, some, but you how many bars have you been to where you walk in at 8:00 at night and CNN is on? A lot of places don't have anybody that even cares, but you're going to have football fans wanting to watch the Patriots, Carolina, whatever it is, on a Thursday night, and they're going to be like, "What are you talking? Well, what channel is it on? I'll put it on channel 7." Well, it's not there, pal. You got to have. It's people are in for a rude awakening when they realize that you have to stream these games.
I think the world is adjusting to it. You know what I mean? That's just the way it is.
Right. For sure.
It's a lot. Hey, listen, what we're doing right now, this is kind of groundbreaking what we're doing right now. This is not something that goes on in every city, but eventually you're going to see a lot of this. Platforms will end up becoming the main source for sports for cities because the regular radio stations aren't going to spend any money for the coverage. Like
they're not now, right?
I know that. Obviously, I mean,
not in this market.
What we're doing on this platform has never been done ever on local radio. Period. Nobody's
and
ever
you've had to do it because of this market, this so-called major market that we're in.
Exactly. Yeah. But who the hell has 14 insiders? Nobody has that. But we do that because that's the only way you're going to be able to actually put together real programming. So fans all over the world of South Florida teams will be able to follow it. And that's why platforms are the future. That's where everything is going to be. And eventually you will learn to use your smart TV because it's no longer going to be about changing channels. All these cable companies and these TV companies, they all have to adjust or they will die. Pretty simple.
And most of them have. Most of them offer a streaming service.
Yes,
because they know you. I mean, I've got whatever it was, AT&T. Now it's DirecTV again. Because when I was in Ohio and I was traveling with the Blue Jackets, I wanted to be able to have my channels on my iPad with me. It's been great. So I've been, I had to go away from that, but you have to have good internet. Some people don't have that, and I understand. There are still places that do not have good internet, and you can't stream stuff. A lot of us are just used to streaming everything. I'm streaming on my phone right now. Some people don't have that option. Some people that don't live in metro areas, that kind of thing. I understand. But as this gets stronger and stronger, it's not going away. It's only going to grow.
That's why Elon Musk has that link satellite thing that he's selling, that you can stream anywhere in the world. All you have to do is order it, and you'll have your satellite in your house and your connection like right away, and you can live anywhere and be able to stream because that's, dude. I heard they his company alone, Tesla alone, is going to be sending up somewhere in the neighborhood of like 60 to 80,000 satellites in the next 5 years. Just his company.
Crazy. Yep. They're going to cover the earth as the old that paint commercial.
Yeah, we're by I think it's by 10 years we're going to have like a whole shield of satellites that are flying all around the planet. Crazy shit.
Unreal.
And you know how many of those are going to end up getting broken down and landing? And it's just going to be like a lottery thing of where a satellite's going to land in the world and crush something, and you hope it lands in water or a desert somewhere.
Those things burn up pretty quick, though, on reentry. Yeah. So, but it's going to be a lot more space junk, right? I mean, they just kind of float off. But
a ton of space junk. Yep, I'm with you there. All right, follow him on Twitter, George Richards, and catch his work. Tell him about Florida hockey now and why they have to subscribe, sir.
Well, FloridaHockeyNow.com. It's the only, we're the only ones covering the Panthers year round. Every day we've got a different story. Today was a links column, but tomorrow we've got a story on Robert Hagg, defenseman that the Florida Panthers got from the Buffalo Sabres at the trade deadline. Is he going to be coming back? I'm thinking he's a guy that may have an opportunity to return to the Panthers at his price point. So, come visit us at FloridaHockeyNow.com. If you subscribe, it's just over $3 a month or $30 annually. You sign in, there's no ads. It's nice and clean. I mean, that was the thing about the Athletic. There's no ads, no banners, no nothing. When you're signed into FloridaHockeyNow.com, it's a very clean reading experience on your phone or your tablet or wherever. So come visit us, FloridaHockeyNow.com.
And by the way, there are only 2 outlets covering the Panthers on a yearly basis.
Yeah.
Florida Hockey Now and the Big O Radio Show. Okay.
Yeah.
Just want to say, okay, just want to throw us in there.
No, well, you know what I meant. You know what I meant.
I know. But I just want to know
because we're right on. We're on. I'm on your show once a week. Everybody knows.
That's right. You and the Dorkster. So there we go. We give you coverage of all of our teams on a year-round basis. That's the beautiful thing. All right, follow him on Twitter at George Richards. George, we will catch up next week, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you, my brother. Be good.
You got it. There you go. That is your lockdown segment.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.